You're tuned into Recovery TV, the voice of hope, with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Discussions and information on addiction and mental health issues. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Please get your Narcan. We're not going to Narcan our way out of this, but it's a helpful tool. God forbid we need it. Narcan. Take it, get it, put it in your car, put it in your purse, but take it out at night because heat and cold make an issue with it. My guest today is Dr. Chris Aniano from Neighborhood Healthcare Plan. Great gentleman, great colleague in the Senate. Welcome, Doc. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. You're very kind and great reminder for everybody. It's a resource that's out there. You're right. Not the way we're going to solve this, but certainly a tool that's not to be left behind.
A tool in the toolbox, my friend. Yeah. But I want to first start off and congratulate Neighborhood on becoming the Medicare, Medicaid plan of the country from Centers for Medicare, Medicaid Services. That's a big, big accomplishment. Little old Rhode Island, and we got number one.
Yeah, you know, and we are super excited about that at Neighborhood. As you said, number one in the country. That's not a region, that's not just the state. Number one at the dual eligible, the MMP population, that Neighborhood has been the only payer serving now for 7+ years here in Rhode Island. And that alone, that had us puffing our chests out a little bit recently. But, you know, it's a little bit more about consistency too. I think something that people don't always see is that for 20 years straight, we've been one of the top 10% of Medicaid plans. So, you know, at our heart, we were a managed care organization, one of the three. And we've been in that top 10% ranking according to NCQA, National Committee for Quality Assurance. So this is the organization that measures how well you're doing your job. And we're really proud of that, 20 years consecutively.
You know, it's amazing to me, a little old Rhode Island, we have a number one. Normally we're at 48, 49, or 50, but number one's a big deal. So congratulations to you and your organization.
We're very fortunate. It's a local company. It's a local company. And
born in Rhode Island.
Born in Rhode Island, 30 years serving Rhode Islanders, most at-risk Rhode Islanders in the Medicare, Medicaid space, as well as the health benefit exchange in our commercial line.
Yeah. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with Neighborhood. Obviously, there's a lot going on with the Medicaid, with people have to sign up, people who have drifted away during COVID. They've got to get back on the list. Unfortunately, you know, people are not paying attention, and they go to the doctor or go to the ED, boom, no insurance because you failed to do the right thing.
Yeah, well, redetermination, and that's kind of I'll call that the official word. Remember that through the pandemic, through COVID, the state had stopped doing the process of re-verifying your information or your eligibility to be a Medicaid recipient. Now, after you stop doing that for 2 years and then you restart, guess what? That's going to surprise people. So it was a long year this past 12, 13 months.
Right.
We've been doing everything we could to make sure that we get everyone out there knowing that they've got to recertify in this. They've got to have their eligibility redetermined, hence the word redetermination. And the most critical component starts with just making sure that Neighborhood or the state, EOHHS, Medicaid, knows your contact information. So critically important. And you can let Neighborhood know that. You can go to our website at www.nhpri.org or our phone number, 401-459-6019. You can let us know that contact, but if that contact information isn't right, you moved, you changed phones, something changed in your life so you can't reach you, that's probably the biggest way that a Medicaid recipient can unknowingly fall off, because you didn't even get the mail. You didn't get the letter that was sent that says, hey, we need to talk to you.
You know, that's one of the biggest problems right now, because people, not that they don't pay attention, but it's something they don't think of. Sure. When you want to move, you know, you got children, you want to get your stuff, pack it up and move, you forget to forward your mail, and then the next thing you know, you got a headache.
Yeah.
A real big headache.
And we had a lot of effort. Neighborhood has had a lot of efforts. Our state, our Medicaid system, EOHHS should be credited with so much work. Kristen Souza and her team, what they've been doing, trying to make sure they got the message out there, all sorts of mailings and letters to give people that heads up that we needed to know where they were, and then we needed to know some information to make sure they were still eligible. Remember, if you're no longer eligible, someone who was out of work got a job, now they're not eligible for Medicaid, that doesn't mean neighborhood still can't be your payer, because we have a very robust commercial line that goes through Health Source Rhode Island, and we've got a sales team that will help anyone who's fallen off of the Medicaid system, but we have something to catch them in our commercial line of business. And by calling neighborhood, our sales team can help work with you on that.
Yep. Now Wednesday, I mean, we're taping now. We're not, you know, Mental Health Month.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about Mental Health Month.
Yeah.
Since COVID, we've had a lot of people with specific issues. Mental health issues. We've had a number of suicides. Overdoses haven't quit, nor do I see them quitting anytime soon. What is the outlook for neighborhood on these three issues?
Well, I think let's start with acknowledging the fact that the pandemic did something pretty dramatic. Not that behavioral health issues didn't exist before COVID, but certainly even in the first year of the pandemic and COVID, we had a 25% increase in anxiety, depression, all sorts of psychiatric disorders, substance abuse, and overuse. And you know, that was across our society what the pandemic did to us. From the smallest children who couldn't go and socialize together, to our school-age children who missed education and a chance to socialize, to our teenagers. You know, what's a teenager's life without being able to interact with their peers and grow and learn in that way? And then it carried through to our midlife people who are struggling with keeping their family together and their jobs. And then, of course, our seniors who'd lost that opportunity to even be with their families in some situations. So right across our entire society, 25% increase in mental health issues.
You know, and I think, you know, from that fallout, things may be getting a little bit better, but there's still a big gap. Still a big gap. The EDs are full. The Children's Hospital, Hasbro, is full. People committing suicide is above the norm. Substance use is beyond belief. Alcohol sales are up 300% since COVID. This is an all-star team we have here.
Well,
it's sad.
Yeah. And you know, we look at it like this is something that requires, if it's all coming at us like that, we need to go right back at it just as hard. And I think that first key is integration. Now, you know, we've been using these words for decades. You got to integrate it. It's got to be integrated. BH, just like that. But we've actually got to walk that walk now. We want our members to talk with their primary care doctor. Go to the person who coordinates your physical health care and use them for a referral to a behavioral health specialist. And that's part of our pride in this, is that we have a very robust network of behavioral health providers who are prepared to integrate and coordinate with your primary care doctor. And if you have issues with having a primary care doctor, or you don't have one, or you can't have one, or you haven't seen them, or you want to change, or you just want a referral to BH provider, remember, call us at Neighborhood. We have care managers, healthcare professionals who will help direct you and get you where you need to be.
I want to direct you to so I can pay the bills.
Yeah.
But I want to talk more about this when we come back. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Neighborhood Health Plan is in the house. Dr. Chris Aniano, who I served with for a few years at the General Assembly. So welcome, Doc, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank
I
you.
want to talk a little bit about what we left off with the primary care docs. We're in pretty serious shape with primary care docs, not having enough. Most of them are full. You call, you want to get a primary care doc. I'm sorry, we're full. And what happens? The EDs get full of folks. We have to figure out a way to utilize the system better.
Yeah.
The CCBAC, which is coming on board hopefully in October, we have to make sure.
Well, neighborhood certainly recognizes that. Maintaining a network is really critical for us. And we've been happy to partner with the Office of the Health Insurance Commissioner, Commissioner Corey King, in committees talking about the primary care workforce and how can the state do something in a coordinated way to make this as an attractive place for physicians to come and practice as we possibly can, because that is part of the issue. That and getting rid of stigma in mental health. And I know you've been talking about this for years. It's one thing to have all sorts of primary care doctors ready to talk with you, but you have to be willing to go in and talk about your mental health the same way you do your blood pressure, the same way you do a checkup or you do screening for your colonoscopy, for your health or to avoid cancers. Having a primary care doctor who's checking in with you and can make appropriate referrals and also making their patients feel comfortable to speak about what they need to, and having no stigma about saying, I'm having some anxiety, or I'm having depression, or I've had some thoughts, or there's struggles dealing with my family or substance. That's important.
Many people, you go into coffee shops, you have a conversation with people, and you may hear this. Went to see my doc the other day. He wanted to know if I wanted to commit suicide. They think it's a joke. It's not a joke. This is serious stuff right now that we're talking about. We have too many people with those type of thoughts that are actually doing it.
Yeah.
And what you left behind, it could be catastrophic, meaning your family, your work buddies, friends. And it's a stigma issue.
Yeah.
It's 100% a stigma issue.
You and I are patients.
Yep.
We don't just do this on a show like this. We talk. We go to doctors too. When I go to see my primary care doctor, it's actually quite comforting to have him ask me some questions because it brings out conversation and some things that I might not have thought about. What's affecting me at work, or what's affecting me in my personal life, or my life in general. So I think that the primary care doctors are out there really making an effort to bring this into, again, there's that word, integration. We can talk about your physical health care and your behavioral health care side by side, in parallel, same visit.
Right, exactly. One other thing I want to talk to you about is this telehealth.
Yeah.
Huge step forward in the medical field. Huge.
Yeah.
Had one the other day with my doc. Wasn't feeling well. I called him up. He said, I'm going to send you a text. Get on that text and we'll have a conversation. Bing, bang, boom. Next thing you know, I'm at CVS getting medication, and it's over with. You don't have to leave the confines of your own home. You don't have to be in an office full of sick people, and they can just do their thing. Amazing, amazing technology today that's moved the ball forward across the field, especially with people who have substance use issues, mental health, and the whole gamut.
Yes. Yeah, and I think we've quickly forgotten how telehealth saved us.
Exactly.
When we couldn't get close to another human for those awkward 2 years, telehealth provided a vital link. With that pandemic gone, we still have to note now, right now, where we are right now, 37% of behavioral health is being delivered by telehealth. That's
a big number.
It's a big number.
Big number.
And what that allows for is, maybe you're the sort of person who needs the face-to-face time. Maybe you want to look right in the eyes of the person you're talking to in the room, personal. Maybe you're not. And telehealth also, aside from giving you the comfort level you want, it also gets rid of barriers to care. And barriers to care, that is the enemy of neighborhood health. That is primarily in our mission, making sure that quality of care, that there's no access to care issues. So telehealth to us is now becoming a trusted tool. We don't want transportation or having to leave other family or a time problem to interfere with you getting that care. And that's where telehealth, again, a tool. We're not going to solve this whole problem with telehealth, but it's a tool that should be in our toolbox.
Well, you brought up something very interesting, that's a part of the substance use and mental health group of people that join my organization. That is transportation. Bus,
Yes.
car, taxi,
Yes.
Uber. Sometimes they don't get picked up. Sometimes, issues happen, and next thing you know, you get a bill
Yeah.
because you didn't show up. But not any fault of your own.
It's
So telehealth cuts that right off.
correct.
Cuts that right off.
And when in doubt, like we said, maybe you would prefer the in-person visit, but when in doubt, when something else is going to create a barrier, telehealth can bridge that. And so it's
Even
an
for
important
seniors
tool.
that can't leave their own home,
Absolutely.
So
And this also allows for visits to maybe occur if someone happens to be in a residential facility or in a rehab facility,
Right.
to be able to be seen without being moved when other health issues are going on.
a lot of information that we talk about today gets out into the public. That public sometimes they don't realize that telehealth is a good thing. Transportation is a bad thing, especially if you don't get it on a timely manner. But I mean, it sounds like, you would know as someone who works at neighborhood, these things are constantly talked about. Constantly talked about. I want to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to hit that again.
Sounds good.
You've been watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni, here with Dr. Aniano from Neighborhood Health. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Neighborhood Health Plan is in the house. Dr. Chris Aniano, and Chris and I serve together in the General Assembly. Doc, thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. Thank
always
you.
a pleasure to have you on. There's a new telephone number that's out and running pretty soon, 988. What's your theory on that?
Well, I think that what a great resource. We had a little theme going here. We talked earlier about our Narcan sprays as a tool. We talked about telehealth as a tool. Here's another tool, a statewide number, 988. If you're having symptoms, whether it's anxiety, depression, substance use issues, we've seen a lot of success like this, whether it's good old 911 or whether it's, the other easy to access numbers that get you into care and get you a resource name and number. That it's so valuable. So we want our members to know that 988 is there, but we also want our members to know all you got to do is turn that card over. You look on the back of your neighborhood health plan membership card, there's member services. And there is nothing in the neighborhood universe that we can't begin to work on by calling member services.
That 988, I think, is a excellent tool, because when you make that call, they know that call is a mental health substance use.
Yeah.
911 is a different animal,
Correct.
but we have two animals now,
Correct.
two ways to call.
And as you and I have seen through the years, and I think law enforcement has talked about this and advocates have talked about this, 911 is an incredible resource for every Rhode Islander. But it might not always be the exact thing you need in a mental health
particular time,
situation.
right.
So 988 may help to distinguish and clarify what's needed at what time.
Doc, I want to thank you for coming on today. Neighborhood has been a great partner with Recovery TV. I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate the support for Neighborhood.
It is our
We'll see you
pleasure.
back here in September. Got it.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
You've been watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni. We'll see you next week.